six-figure career is a big milestone for young individuals that are working their way through corporate. Today's video, I want to give you some career tips and share my own story on how I got to a six-figure salary in my 20s and how you can get there if that's something that you're interested in. Now, I ran payroll at the last two companies that I worked at, so I do understand the professional profile, soft skills, and the technical skills that an individual should exhibit to be a top earner at any company. Now, I'm going to be doing a couple more videos in this series because there's six-figure salary, there's six-figure bank account, and there's also six-figure business. The six-figure business for myself was the hardest one to crack. But all three of these milestones have different skills required, and I'm gonna make separate videos in the future on the six-figure business as well as the six-figure bank account. But today's video, let's talk about career and earning. So there are two external factors that really matter when it comes to your ability to make a six-figure income, okay? The first is that you want to pick the right career because not all careers are made equal and not all industries pay the same. The second is that you want to find the right city to work in because not all cities have the same labor market and not all cities pay the same salary for the same work. So if you tell me, Alice, my desire in life is to do well in my career, then my answer to that would be, hey, you should live somewhere that can give you the opportunity in the first place. Now, assuming you've picked the right career, you've picked the right city to live in, the next thing is you want to pick the right company to work for. Because just like careers, just like cities, companies are not all equal either. You have to be careful. What you want to do is pick a company that rewards based on merit. A merit-based reward system, meaning that the boss, the company overall, wants to promote people based on potential. They want to promote people based on talent and competence, and management, has a desire to foster you. If you're seeking promotions and you're not working for a company that has a compensation system based on merit, or you work for someone that just doesn't care about talent or sees talent in general, it's probably not going to work, right? You can tell by searching on LinkedIn to see how quickly other people have moved up and around in that company. So if there's a company that you're interested in or a job posting you're looking to apply for, do some stalking, okay? Check other people that have been in that role before, how long they were in certain roles before they moved up. Do some stalking to kind of get assessment and a gauge of what that company is like and whether they reward based on merit. So make sure you pick carefully because if you do pick the wrong one, you will end up wasting time. And it does slow you down by a year and a half, and you never want to be in the position where you're wasting your time when you're young. If you really, really want rapid career growth, that comes at smaller companies. Smaller companies, which themselves are growing rapidly, will be able to give you rapid career growth. From the company's perspective, one of the hardest parts of day-to-day is just the ability to attract, retain, and nurture talent. It is so hard. And so sometimes companies have to bluff a little bit to get people in the door during the interview process. If you've ever accepted a job position where you feel like, hey, this kind of wasn't really what I was promised, that's okay. You will get better and smarter at catching these sorts of things as you get older. I have some friends and worked with some really, really smart and talented people in corporate, and even they made some mistakes along the way at what companies they chose to work for. I think it's a part of the process. The second tip is you want to get people to vouch for you. So likability is very important. If you've never read the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, read this book and practice all of the principles. I read this book very early on in my corporate career. These are things that most people aren't taught by the school system, parents, friends, stuff like that. But that book is a wonderful read. All of the little things that they teach you in it is really important. You basically want to find someone in a higher up position that will vouch for you. Okay, you want everyone, your goal is to have everyone to be saying good things about you. I used to have clients raving behind my back to my bosses, right? Because I made my clients' lives easier. I made my partners and my bosses' lives easier. I made them look good. I did good work. People liked me. And I developed a strong sense of internal self-esteem from that experience, and I got promoted very quickly. So always do your best to make your boss look good, be likable yourself, make your managers look good. Just understanding how to talk to people, how to speak in a way that gets people to buy in with you, being the go-to person in your department, and having that degree of self-confidence and self-esteem as a professional. All those things combined with the likability will help you get promoted faster. So tip 2 is more of a person tip, more about your soft skills. The third tip is that in your actual work yourself, you need to be an irreplaceable A player. Okay, so an example of this, if you know your boss wants something done by Friday, then you should tell him that he can expect it by Thursday. And then you have to finish it by Wednesday and have it on his desk by Wednesday. And it's good work, right? Always, 100% no exceptions. Your work has to be good. A lot of people think that just working hard equals promotion, but it's working hard and working smart. And your work, the actual technical part of whatever it is you do, your deliverables has to be pristine. Being able to do the work is just an expectation in corporate, right? So you have to go above and beyond. My best tip for this really is the expectation management tip. The expectation management mindset has worked really well for me. The idea is that you always want to under-promise and over-deliver. Tip 4 is to always seize the first opportunity when it's given. So in corporate, on a day-to-day basis, most days are going to be boring. Interesting opportunities, interesting projects, they come up maybe every 6 months, maybe every 12 months, depending on the growth opportunity of the company. The people that do the best and the ones that move up quickly are the ones who know how to raise their hand when there is an opportunity, right? Rather than be the person that complains about extra work. I know it sounds really simple. That's really one of the biggest things between people who move up quickly and people who don't in corporate is that you can feel the ambition that a person that wants to move up have. You can feel it, you can see it, you can sense it, right? They want to take on extra work, they want to learn, and they just have a sense of wanting to be better. I always put up my hand to do extra work. I always went the extra mile to make sure that everything was perfect. And over time, the people that you work for, they will know. So story time, when I worked in management consulting, I got 2 promotions in 1 year. That's how I got to the director level by the time I was 27 or 28 years old. This company was in the process of implementing a new service line for a relatively new industry. I went above and beyond and out of my way to learn everything that I could about the industry. So I put my hand up for a very big and complex project around that service line. Because that service line had so much potential and was so new, it meant a lot for the firm and the company's top line and the billings. I literally went out, did a whole bunch of research. I wrote memos, I wrote reports on my own. It was all self-directed. Nobody asked me to do this. I put my hand up to do it. And through this process was an integral part of helping them develop this service line. And when the partner of the firm picked up a big client in that service line, I put up my hand again and basically spearheaded the project. It was through that experience I was finally able to hit the 6-figure mark by the time I was 28 years old. Tip 5 is to know when to speak up and know when to listen. And when it's time to listen, you should be taking notes. If someone is teaching something, if there's something important, you should be taking notes and listening. And when it's time to speak, you should be demonstrating that you were listening when you should have been listening. So when it's time to speak, you can use your notes to formulate your thoughts. Practice speaking out loud if you have to. If you're newer to speaking out, earlier in my career when I was more shy or more timid, I would write down the things that I would say and I would mull it over. I would type it out onto a computer like a script, read it out loud, practice reading it out loud, sometimes even bounce ideas off of my husband, right? Because he understands what I was going through. Funny enough, I actually thought that I was kind of crazy for doing this, for being so over prepared when it comes to speaking. And then I started working with some other people and, we became friends and stuff like that. I realized that a lot of them were doing the same thing, right? A lot of them were also typing things out and kind of like practicing before they spoke. And so being prepared never hurts. You can never be over prepared for a meeting. You can never be over prepared for an opportunity to speak. Tip number 5 is you should know how people like things done. So when I worked in a client-facing role, I had multiple partners or multiple bosses to work for, and every partner wanted things done in a certain way, okay? Literally the way they wanted things stapled, the way they wanted things cited, the way they want a letter typed up, the way they want things done. Every boss, every person on your team, everyone you work for, you have to figure out how they want to see the thing done. You get promoted faster when you do everything you can to make your boss's life easier. So ask yourself, what can you do to make your boss's life easier? You have 8 hours in a workday to actively think about how you can make your boss's life easier every time you send him an email, every time you do something for him, right? Last tip I have is you want to demonstrate that you can think for other people and you can think for the company. Usually to crack the 6-figure mark, you have to show that you're more than just an individual contributor. And at the individual contributor level, you're usually thinking about me. Like, what's in it for me? What do I have to do today? What are my tasks for the day? Once you can start thinking for your boss, you can start thinking for your company, and you can start thinking for your team and the long-term and the big picture effects, that's when they start saying that you have potential. Story number 2. Another example, when I was a manager and I had my own team, there was a girl who had a lot of potential, right, on the team to get promoted. And I really wanted her to get promoted because I knew she was really talented. The finance department as a whole was going through a system implementation change. By the way, if you're watching this and you have a finance background, any sort of system implementation is a great time for you to put your hand up to get promoted. But there was a girl on the team, I had really wanted her to get promoted. She really showed and demonstrated that she wanted to learn, that she could think for people, that she had the critical thinking skills necessary to progress in her role. She went out of her way to come up with new improvements for processes. She went out of her way to speak up at meetings to demonstrate her critical thinking skills. So that's exactly the type of person that gets promoted very quickly in corporate. Now again, new exciting projects don't always come by. So that's why it goes back to the original point of picking a smaller growth company that's going through a lot of changes, because usually in those types of companies, maybe a little bit more stressful in the day-to-day, but those are the types of opportunities that you have to get promoted or to show yourself. If you like this video today, please give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel. Let me know down in the comments below where you are at in your career, whether you have any questions, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Until next time.